Saw this post right here, and it was about Nike putting Caitlin Clark stuff everywhere, putting Caitlin Clark's logo on everything. And I genuinely saw another one, and I'm like, maybe. Hold on, is that Nike's Caitlin Clark signature shoe? And I'm not gonna lie, that I kind of got a little bit.
It appears Nike recently stumbled into a whirlwind of controversy, perhaps tripping over its massive footwear empire, as online communities are now firmly convinced the brand inadvertently unveiled Caitlin Clark's highly anticipated signature sneaker ahead of schedule. A single indistinct photograph, featuring a subtly unusual heel, instantly mobilized a legion of online sneaker enthusiasts who treated the discovery with the urgency of a major global event. The question on everyone's mind: was this an authorized disclosure, a cleverly orchestrated misdirection, or simply a case of Nike leaving its most valuable secrets exposed once more?
Caitlin Clark's official signature logo with Nike has dropped. Here it is. Here's what we're working with. But also some big major news here, as you can see from Chloe Peterson on X/Twitter. You got the interlocking CCs. That is a big deal. But look, signature shoe, signature apparel collection, and logo apparel collection all coming in really, really soon. Later this year for the logo, shoe, and signature apparel coming in 2026. What do you think? Do you like the logo? Yes or no?
A unique brand of digital pandemonium erupted as Nike embarked on a widespread campaign to emblazon a particular basketball phenom's emblem everywhere imaginable, coinciding with the internet's collective deep dive into every pixel, analyzing images with the intensity of forensic experts.
This, I'm like 80% sure, if you look at the way the heels is, this might be a running spike, or it might be something, kind of looks like the KD6s. Like, I would not be opposed to seeing Nike basically bring back the KD6s. But that's literally what these, I'm pretty sure it is the, this is the KD.
Few things ignite passion within the sneaker community more effectively than a pixelated photograph hinting that a corporate behemoth might have prematurely revealed its hand. What began as an innocuous marketing upload swiftly escalated into a virtual investigation, with enthusiasts meticulously scrutinizing heel designs, counting perforations, and dissecting sole contours as if the trajectory of an entire cultural phenomenon hinged on these minutiae.
Probably the biggest news that came out of this podcast is that Nike will be adding new technology for the CC signature shoe. But I would imagine for a player like Caitlin, I could see these shoes being similar to the Sabrinas, in a sense being similar to the Kyries, which again, I've talked about this in other episodes, but I feel like the Sabrinas kind of took over what the Kyries were, because the Kyries were so popular. And I feel like a lot of NBA players went from wearing Kyries to wearing Sabrinas. Like if you wear Kyrie or you wore a Kobe, then you're more likely to wear the
The underlying suspicion was straightforward, yet carried an irresistible dramatic flair, primarily because the footwear, subtly positioned in the background, possessed an air of unexpected significance. This impression was further amplified by Nike's well-documented tendency to feign surprise over accidents that coincidentally generate substantial public attention immediately after they occur.
Only is Caitlin Clark going to launch the biggest sneakers that we like. This is going to be the biggest sneaker launch we've ever seen. Michael Jordan, watch out. This is going to be one of, or if not the biggest sneaker launch we've ever seen. This is long awaited, especially with the momentum coming into the season. The CBA will literally like be everything. That will be like, if the
Initially, the photograph offered no immediate indications of groundbreaking design, yet this very subtlety rendered it far more impactful. The sneaker was deliberately obscured, cropped just enough to pique interest, and positioned at an angle that seemed either incredibly accidental or meticulously planned. The distinct form of the heel instantly captured attention, as dedicated sneaker aficionados possess an uncanny knack for identifying shoe profiles from distances that would astound advanced facial recognition systems. Its rear silhouette evoked a sense of familiarity, almost a throwback, as if Nike had unearthed a classic design that once dominated basketball courts and community centers. The prevailing comparison frequently drawn was to a specific Kevin Durant model, a design that retains a strong following, particularly among those who consider that period a zenith for Nike basketball innovation. This strong likeness ignited initial skepticism, as the concept of repurposing an existing silhouette for a high-profile new signature athlete struck many as either astonishingly uninspired or cunningly ingenious, depending on individual perspective. The precise curvature of the heel, its overall dimensions, and the shoe's general posture all suggested a design that was more adapted than freshly conceived. Prompting the critical inquiry, was this merely a temporary stand-in, strategically deployed to conceal the actual product? Nike has historically employed diversion tactics, particularly for significant product launches, and this incident perfectly aligned with the brand's potential for subtle, visual trickery.
Just got photos of Caitlin Clark's first ever shoe with Nike. This comes after yesterday where Caitlin Clark's logo was revealed by Nike. In the commercial, you could kind of see her first ever signature shoe, which is right here. Obviously, it was a little blurry in the video, but here we can kind of get a good idea of what it's going to look like. It kind of looks like Kobe's mixed with the Devin Booker's. It looks like it doesn't have the best materials, but we can clearly tell this is Caitlin's shoe because her logo is on the insole and on the tongue. Here's an up-close look at them. Well, let me know in the comments, what do you guys think of her logo? I kind of think it looks like a designer logo, almost like a Chanel.
Perhaps it resembled a high-fashion aesthetic. As discussions escalated, an alternative hypothesis surfaced. The shoe might not be a basketball sneaker whatsoever. Its outsole and overall construction seemed eerily consistent with a less prominent category, such as a training or running shoe that had inadvertently appeared in a high-stakes photo shoot. The sheer fervor generated by a potentially non-basketball shoe felt quintessential to sneaker culture, where factual context often takes a backseat to mandatory conjecture. Even the notion that it was just a random piece of footwear left on Nike's campus did little to quell the mounting excitement, as any perceived accidental symbolism quickly becomes definitive once the internet embraces it. The concept of Nike casually introducing a lifestyle shoe alongside a pivotal debut signature basketball model seemed like a corporate strategy so unconventional it bordered on plausible. Such a maneuver would suggest either extraordinary self-assurance or a fundamental misinterpretation of athlete branding dynamics, both of which remained within the realm of possibility. Yet, a more pragmatic assessment indicated that Nike would likely avoid undermining its own product launch by saturating the market with disparate items linked to the same athlete, given that even Nike typically favors calculated disruption over uncontrolled spontaneity.
Caitlin Clark has her own Nike basketball signature shoe on the way. And people are pointing out the fact that the 3 active WNBA players who have a Nike basketball shoe at the moment are Breanna Stewart, Caitlin Clark, and Sabrina Ionescu, all of a certain skin color. They're saying Asia Wilson doesn't have one, Candace Parker, Maya Moore, Brittany Griner. They're saying that Caitlin Clark has some type of privilege by how fast she got a Nike basketball signature shoe. Guys, please, let's cut the games. We all knew Caitlin Clark was going to get her.
As the initial fervor subsided, rational thought gradually re-entered the discussion, leading to the unsettling acknowledgement that the alleged sneaker bore stark dissimilarities to other footwear featured in the same photograph. This visual discrepancy pointed to a considerably less sensational explanation. The shoes were most likely provisional items, selected with the haphazardness of someone fumbling for socks in the dark. The laces appeared disproportionately thin, the structural integrity seemed questionable, and the overall aesthetic conveyed an impression of incompleteness rather than monumental significance. This was clearly not a design destined for a grand, pyrotechnic reveal, as it seemed barely fit to exit the prototype stage. Nevertheless, the broader dialogue persisted, fueled by Nike's undeniable and assertive promotion of this specific athlete. Emblems materialized with surprising speed, partnerships rapidly accumulated, and the marketing apparatus engaged a higher velocity, signaling an impending major announcement, despite its precise nature remaining veiled. This sudden prominence attracted attention not due to unworthiness, but because it felt like an abrupt activation following an extended period of restraint. Such a delay generated its own set of conjectures, many revolving around Nike's intricate negotiations with its current roster of signature athletes. The rationale underpinning this theory, while inconvenient, was compelling. Mega brands do not operate in isolation, and integrating a fresh talent into the signature collection demands meticulous strategic planning. Signature athletes are more than mere competitors. They represent substantial long-term investments, complete with individual aspirations, demands, and contractual agreements that typically discourage unexpected overshadowing. From a business standpoint, postponing a logo or shoe debut to mitigate internal discord would be not just logical, but standard practice artfully disguised as prudent timing.
So there's like a couple Kobe's that they have only the technology in like the heel of your foot and not the forefoot of your foot. And I can like tell a huge difference when I play in those. Like it feels like I'm running on hardwood. So like I've really struggled to wear those. But for other people, they obviously love them. But for me, it's like, I know I need that technology everywhere. So that's honestly been a huge part of, you know, the process and the creation of the shoe is like it being comfortable and exactly kind of what I need. And the technology that we're going to put into it isn't anything that they've ever put into a basketball shoe before.
With the official launch now evidently underway, the surge in promotional activity seems entirely intentional rather than coincidental. As if Nike meticulously timed the unleashing of its complete branding strategy. This context makes the notion of an accidentally leaked signature shoe particularly amusing, given its stark contradiction to the brand's otherwise tightly managed public image. Should this indeed be an unauthorized preview of the actual product, it would signal an unusual instance of Nike's control faltering, a scenario the sneaker community covertly relishes, despite outward expressions of shock. Further deepening the mystery are subtle design cues that intimate potential collaborations extending well beyond a typical signature launch. These quiet allusions to high-fashion alliances ignited visions of iconic basketball shoe designs, once titans of hype and resale markets, making a grand return. The sheer prospect of blending high-performance basketball footwear with cutting-edge design immediately triggered recollections of shoes that commanded exorbitant prices, seemingly validated purely by their existence. Such nostalgic reflections inevitably brought with them the common internal struggle of overlooked chances and financial remorse, as few things unite sneaker enthusiasts like shared memories of coveted pairs missed before their values soared. While potent, this nostalgia also underscored Nike's profound understanding, conscious or not, of how to leverage such emotions. Ultimately, the actual confirmation of a collaboration feels almost secondary when the mere speculation is sufficient to sustain conversation for an extended period.
Kobe's coming out, and it's the Kobe 6 Pro Tro, so you know how I feel about that shoe. And the PE, the collab, the player edition, that, you know, the player that's going to be wearing it is no other than Caitlin Clark. So it is the Kobe 6 Pro Tro, Caitlin Clark PE. And again, colorway, it's very nice colorway. I don't think it matches the Indiana Fever at all. Like, it
sure doesn't.
But nonetheless, it's a nice shoe. Colors are dope. Again, it has that snake skin textured upper in a light armory blue. The accents are in a cool.
The prosaic truth behind this saga is considerably less dramatic. The most probable, albeit least thrilling, explanation suggests Nike simply utilized any readily available samples to stage a scene without anticipating the internet's intense scrutiny. Thus, this incident speaks less to a leaked product and more to the increasing impossibility for major corporations to operate subtly in the public eye. Every visual now functions as a de facto press release, regardless of intent, and every peripheral item becomes a potential news story ripe for discovery. This unavoidable reality extends to the forthcoming debut of the actual signature shoe, as its initial appearances on the court will significantly outweigh any carefully crafted marketing visuals. When that moment arrives, the discourse will immediately transition from conjecture to critical analysis, for the sneaker community rarely dwells on anticipation longer than required. Naturally, there remains a chance the shoe's debut won't align with widespread expectations, given that national team organizational choices frequently defy public rationale. Selection processes occasionally resemble less a meritocratic evaluation and more an exclusive loyalty scheme with precise criteria. The notion that a prominent player might be excluded from a significant roster is not as far-fetched as it seems, particularly when past examples illustrate that established connections often take precedence over current performance.
Got it right here. If you are looking for virality, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I think we're looking at Caitlin Clark's ad being one of the more viral things we've seen in a long time. Like, if you look at the Instagram post on Nike, as far as I'm aware, the Instagram post has like 30 million views, which is, again, absolutely bonkers.
It's astounding to witness such a quantity. Yet, this truth look does not lessen the profound cultural significance of a signature sneaker, as footwear exists in its own realm where the intricacies of athletic politics hold far less sway than aesthetic appeal and market presence. A shoe doesn't need to secure championships to become a focal point of discussion. It merely needs to possess an appealing design and provide comfortable wear. Nike grasps this dynamic more acutely than most, a fact underscored by the brand's remarkable recent successes in women's basketball footwear. The exceptional craftsmanship of these releases has subtly recalibrated expectations, offering designs that achieve elite performance while resonating with athletes across all genders. Certain models have become indispensable, not because of high-profile endorsements, but because they simply surpassed rival offerings in functionality. Discussions and lists ranking top signature models frequently reveal more about individual preferences than objective performance, particularly when specific shoes consistently exceed their perceived standing. The paradox is that the most effective performance sneakers often have the least elaborate narratives, triumphing on utility rather than manufactured buzz. This confluence of cultural resonance and practical court performance is precisely what makes the excitement surrounding a new signature launch so captivating. Regardless of whether the final design proves conventional, the athlete's immense public profile guarantees the shoe will carry significance far beyond its visual appeal alone.
Her rounds at the Nike Studios, which is the Nike headquarters. Now, last time we seen Caitlin Clark or made an epic video about her was when she did the Kelsey Brothers podcast. So Caitlin Clark slowly trying to keep her brand alive, which I know a lot of you guys has been feeling, basically having mixed feelings about the Caitlin Clark brand, but not me. I'm a supported 130%, and it looked like people at Nike is too, man. So Caitlin Clark shocked the world.
And it became visible at night, revisiting the initial photograph that ignited this entire commotion. The discernible features stubbornly defy expectations for a polished basketball sneaker. The dimensions seem disproportionate. The build lacks the assurance of a completed item, and the entire aesthetic suggests a substitute rather than a definitive declaration. Juxtaposed with other footwear within the identical frame, these disparities become undeniable, strengthening the argument that this image was never intended for such intense examination. Yet the conjecture itself was never truly focused on the shoe in isolation, but rather on its symbolic role within a grander story. Ultimately, what was termed a leak appears less as a corporate misstep and more as a stark illustration of sneaker culture's insatiable appetite for the next major reveal. A mere glimpse of a heel was sufficient to unleash hours of detailed examination, generate numerous hypotheses, and rekindle enthusiasm for a product not yet formally confirmed. Such a reaction is not indicative of marketing failure. Instead, it provides clear evidence that the underlying mechanism is functioning precisely as it should, whether by deliberate intent or unforeseen chance.
You have Caitlin Clark dominating the map, fam. This is crazy work. Okay, this is asinine. Fam, just looking at this, it makes me scratch my head and shake my head at the same time, thinking about how bad the WNBA fumbled this bag. Oh my goodness. Fumbled the crap out of it, y'all. Fumbled it. I mean, ate popcorn before the game, man. Butter.
Fingers crossed, this is wild. Upon the eventual arrival of the authentic signature shoe, it will no longer require an aura of enigma to captivate buyers, as the foundation has been meticulously prepared through extensive months of conjecture and public discourse. The narrative will progress, the online community will identify a fresh subject for collective obsession, and this specific photograph will fade into a mere historical anecdote in the annals of sneaker mythology. Until that point, the concept of Nike inadvertently revealing such a monumental secret persists as a delightfully engaging fantasy sustained by aspiration, wistfulness, and the undeniable exhilaration of believing one has glimpsed tomorrow's innovation concealed in plain view. This very illusion is, in essence, the lifeblood of this entire subculture. For sneaker enthusiasts, flourish in the ambiguous territory between official affirmation and outright dismissal, where personal interpretation largely shapes reality. Nike is well aware that unspoken cues can resonate more profoundly than explicit statements, and that uncertainty can wield greater influence than absolute clarity. particularly when the target audience is conditioned to extract significance from every single detail. An indistinct visual, a curiously recognizable outline, and a logo positioned with just a touch too much assurance are all that's needed to transform a standard social media update into a multi-week epic, driven by countless screen captures, lively group discussion, and earnest disagreements among individuals who adamantly claim minimal involvement. The true potency of this current moment stems from its unique position at the juncture of certainty and suspense. Everyone acknowledges the signature shoe is imminent, yet its precise manifestation remains unknown. This dynamic fosters a continuous feedback loop where every action by Nike seems deliberate, even if likely unintentional, and every perceived misstep is construed as a shrewdly executed strategic play.
WNBA players are reviving basketball at Nike. We just got a look at Caitlin Clark's signature logo last week. Clark became the third Nike women's basketball player and fifth current WNBA player to get her own signature shoe, joining Sabrina Ionescu and Asia Wilson on the Nike basketball roster. Okay, let's all be honest here. It's felt like over the last little while, nobody was sitting and counting down the days for the next basketball shoe to drop, men's or women's. Then came the Sabrina.
Ultimately, the brand has no need to engineer leaks when the internet readily handles the task for them, armed with boundless conjecture and unwavering conviction. By the time the official unveiling occurs, the footwear will already possess a sense of familiarity, not because it has been truly cited, but because countless individuals have envisioned it in myriad forms. Anticipation will be at a fever pitch, criticism instantaneous, and comparisons unyielding, for such is the inherent cost levied upon anything deemed culturally pivotal. Irrespective of whether the ultimate design proves groundbreaking or understated, it will be received within a narrative meticulously constructed over months of fervent anticipation and incidental hints. And this, indeed, represents the truly astonishing aspect of the entire phenomenon. Nike didn't merely hint at a shoe, whether deliberately or inadvertently. It effectively reaffirmed the enduring efficacy of this engagement process. A lone photograph ignited curiosity, fueled contention, stirred reminiscence, and provoked extensive dialogue, all without the necessity of a formal press statement or an announced release schedule. In an era saturated with information, such spontaneous public engagement is invaluable, serving as conclusive proof that occasionally the most potent marketing tactic is simply allowing the audience to believe they've caught you off guard, even when no such slip actually occurred.